lost trust trial came to a close after an hour and 10 minutes of jury deliberations. I want to bring in now Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, we've been following this story since that video came out 4 years ago. Let's first find out, are you surprised by the verdict?
Yes and no. I mean, I looked at the video. I watched the video about 100 times. Obviously, I watched it when it first happened. I rewatched it the last few days when this trial was taking place, and this jury watched that. That video was all that they have. If Jody didn't do that investigation, there would be no video because it was deleted. And so it was relevant time of the taser being deployed, or his giving him instructions to deploy a taser. Because remember, the sheriff never shot the taser. He just instructed his employees to do it. And so they charged him with accessory. That's the first portion of it. A couple of things. You'd have to figure out what their process is. At one point, the individual has his hands behind his back. He goes into the cell. They take the handcuffs off. He charges after a deputy. Being tased at that moment, lawful. Tased again when he charges again, I think lawful. Tased again when he charges again, lawful. At some point, the individual attempts to go into his cell. I think that's the only part where there was a case. At that moment, you had to determine, did the sheriff use excessive force once he was walking into the cell, no longer seemed to be a threat, and he instructed the deputy to tase him again. They tased him 2 more times. Those are the only 2 that I think were at issue. And I can tell you from this, I wasn't at the trial, but I'm listening to him speak outside of the courtroom. If he took the stand and he talked the way he did, he seemed extremely convincing. He seemed well composed. He seemed like someone that had remorse for the situation. He seemed like the perfect witness that you would want to have on the stand. And so to your first question, when I'm surprised, yeah, I was a little surprised, but at the end of the day, the facts seemed like they were pointing towards a not guilty, or at least a hung jury. Am I surprised of a not guilty? Remember, you need unanimous decision to be a not guilty. And for me, that's the surprising part.
So many interesting points there, Khalif, because exactly what you said. I think when we heard the sound after the not guilty verdict was read, the demeanor of the former sheriff played a big role into that. I mean, I think just as a viewer just watching that, and just as you said, if that's how it played inside, we got to remember, this is a federal case.
So no video. We can't watch this.
No video to be able to watch. We don't really know what the body language, what the emotion was like inside of that courtroom. And so I think that may have been the surprise for a lot of people, because all we saw is him going in and coming out. Most
of the time, you don't want to witness the actual defendant taking the stand. And if they will take the stand, you're going to attempt to go through a number of times what it will look like on cross. On cross-examination, they attempted to paint him as this villain, as this person that went there because his day was messed up, and he took it all out on the defendant. Then on the other side, the defense tried to paint that victim that was in the jail that day as someone that was a violent person. And so you had a lot of painting of pictures. But if I had him as a client, I can tell you for sure he was the perfect witness to put on the stand. Extremely well composed, knew how to do his job, knew how to get up there and not get emotional. And if he testified like that in the stand, the same way he talked out front to Jody Barr, remember, this is the person that created this whole investigation. Right. And he was extremely composed talking to him. Very kind, very respectful, not wanting to walk away from questions. That whole interaction to me was, if he did any of that in the courtroom, you can see a jury walking away saying, this guy's honest, this is a guy I can believe in, this is a guy that I can trust. And so at the end of the day, he didn't run from that battle, and I can see that's why a jury would say not guilty.
Last question for you. Do you think the former sheriff of Marlboro County, Charles Lemon, could get his job back?
That's going to be a hard one. He'll still the state will refile, so the state will have an opportunity to go after him again. I just think it would be harder for them to get a guilty. If they couldn't get it in the federal court, the state court in his own county is going to be extremely hard. I mean, it's an election, so he'll have to have the vote and the trust of the people. And if the people will support an individual that seemed to have remorse and to be honest in the situation, I think he can get his seat back, but he'll have a couple more hurdles to get over for sure.
And that's when we really find out if the community lost trust. All right, you can follow the latest developments on this trial on air and also online. And we have extensive coverage of this investigation on our website. Just click on the Investigations tab at qcnews.com.